The movie unfolds in 1943 during World War II, introducing us to Stig, a 15-year-old in his third year at a Malmo school. Stig and his family had moved to the area from Stockholm 2 years earlier. He shares a close relationship with his older brother Stig, a boxer preparing to leave for duty on the front lines. Stig eagerly awaits Sig's return home to spend time with him. At school, a new teacher named Viola arrives, captivating everyone with her charm. Stig finds himself in trouble for passing notes during class, leading Viola to ask him to stay behind. She insists on seeing the note, which contains typical, albeit embarrassing, content boys tend to discuss. As a consequence, Viola assigns Stig the task of cleaning the blackboard and getting rid of flies in the classroom. While engaged in these tasks, Stig develops an attraction to Viola. He discreetly observes her from behind, and Viola, realizing Stig's intentions, decides not to address the matter. It's revealed that Stig works at a movie theater every night. However, his habit of arriving late to work becomes a concern, causing dissatisfaction from the theater owner. We are then introduced to another character, Lisbeth, a young girl living next door to Stig, who harbors an obvious liking for him. Despite Lisbeth's continuous attention, Stig remains indifferent. In an effort to impress him, Lisbeth decides to learn the language spoken in Stockholm. One day, as Stig is working at the theater, his older brother Stig appears out of nowhere, surprising him. Stig is delighted to see his elder brother, and they both enjoy some quality time together. However, Stig shares the news that he has to leave for duty the very next day, leaving Stig feeling upset. The following day at school, Stig attempts to get closer to Viola by showing interest in her collection of dictionaries, providing an excuse to spend more time with her. Viola responds positively, and soon, Stig starts following her not only at school but also to her house. This pattern continues for several days until Viola eventually gives in, and they begin a secret friendship. As their connection becomes noticeable to other students, they decide to meet discreetly at Viola's home. However, Viola warns Stig not to visit when her husband is around. During one of Stig's visits to Viola's home, her husband, Kjell, unexpectedly arrives. Stig initially tries to hide, but Kjell spots him before he can escape. To Stig's surprise, Kjell, a salesman by profession, isn't upset and doesn't seem to suspect anything. He assumes Stig is a student receiving tutoring from his wife. Both Stig and Viola feel relieved and decide to be more cautious in their interactions moving forward. The following day, after completing his duties at the theater, Stig heads to watch Sig's boxing match. Following his brother's victory, they return home together. However, Stig struggles to sleep that night due to his father's loud snoring. Seeking a quieter place, he decides to spend the night at Viola's house. When he approaches her, Kjell, Viola's husband, sleepwalks into the scene, and Stig quickly evades his notice. Meanwhile, Lisbeth continues her diligent efforts to learn the language, aiming to impress Stig. On Viola's birthday, Stig buys flowers for her and goes to her house. However, upon reaching there, he once again encounters Kjell. Despite this, a surprising connection forms between Kjell and Stig over their shared appreciation for classical music, a passion that Stig's father lacks. Now, Stig stays with Viola when her husband is away and spends time with Kjell when he returns. The friendship between Kjell and Stig deepens, but Stig begins to notice Kjell's struggle with alcoholism, causing him to question his relationship with Viola. One day, Kjell catches Stig walking around his house in a robe, prompting Stig to come clean about his relationship with Viola. Surprisingly, Kjell confesses that he was aware of the affair all along but felt powerless to address it. He opens up about his own marital struggles with Viola, revealing that their problems began with his own infidelity shortly after their wedding, and the relationship never fully recovered. Simultaneously, it is disclosed that Sig sends Stig letters from aboard the submarine, written in a special code shared between the two siblings. In the meantime, Stig takes it upon himself to assist Kjell in becoming a better version of himself. He encourages Kjell to quit drinking and involves him in outdoor activities. This positive change not only has a transformative effect on Kjell but also catches Viola's attention. As Kjell begins to improve as a person, Viola observes and acknowledges the positive shift in their lives. One day, Lisbeth's family extends an invitation to Stig's family for a joint celebration. Following the family party, Lisbeth guides Stig to her bedroom and expresses a desire to share a more intimate connection with him. Stig, feeling flustered and unsure, is caught off guard by the situation, leading Lisbeth to leave, hurt by what she perceives as his lack of interest. Back at Viola's home, Stig notices that Kjell has resumed drinking. Concerned, Stig inquires about it, and Kjell reveals that the government plans to ban the production of nylon clothing, which spells doom for his entire business. Meanwhile, Viola arrives and asks Stig to join her in her room. Stig finds himself torn between Kjell's deteriorating situation and Viola's invitation. In a moment of confusion, he decides to leave the house, leaving Viola bewildered and hurt by Stig's sudden shift in behavior. Viola starts questioning Stig's sudden coldness towards her, while he grapples with conflicting emotions and the challenging circumstances surrounding Kjell's business. The complex dynamics leave everyone in a state of emotional turmoil. Following the events, Stig starts avoiding Viola even during class, while she tries everything to reconcile with him. Realizing his mistake, he attempts to make amends with Lisbeth. In a daring move, he sneaks into the girls' locker room at school and hides inside the plant of a vault. From there, he manages to capture Lisbeth's attention, and she willingly joins him, marking the beginning of a new relationship for Stig. However, Lisbeth remains oblivious to the fact that Stig is using this new connection as a distraction from his feelings for Viola. Later on, Stig receives a distressing radio update about a submarine explosion, prompting him to anxiously check his letter from Stig. The confirmation that his brother was aboard the same submarine leaves Stig devastated, but he initially keeps the news to himself. The following day, an official telegram arrives at his home, announcing the death of Stig. Despite his efforts to conceal it, his mother senses that something is amiss. In a moment of despair, Stig reveals the heartbreaking truth to his mother, who goes into a state of shock. The weight of the tragedy hangs heavily over Stig and his family, leaving them grappling with grief and sorrow. During this time, Viola's emotional state deteriorates further due to Stig's cold behavior towards her. Determined to address the situation, she decides to visit Stig at the theater. On the same night, Lisbeth is also at the theater watching a movie, unknowingly present during this crucial moment. While searching for Stig, Lisbeth inadvertently walks in on him and Viola in a compromising situation in a storage closet. Witnessing the scene, Lisbeth is deeply disgusted and rejects Stig's attempts at apologies. Later, Stig, feeling the need to resolve the complicated situation, goes to Viola's house with the intention of ending their relationship. However, Viola, who has been drinking and is still unraveling from being caught by Lisbeth, is in an emotionally vulnerable state. She refuses to engage in a conversation with Stig, and in the midst of the turmoil, Stig finds himself unable to break away from her. The complex dynamics of their relationship take a toll on both Stig and Viola, leading to further emotional distress. Despite Stig's initial refusal, the affair between him and Viola persists for several more days. One day, Viola calls Stig after class and informs him that she has decided to fail him, citing his academic performance as the reason. Stig, however, understands that the real motive behind this decision is their complicated relationship and his desire to put an end to it. As Viola continues to play psychological games, subtly seeking Stig's attention during classes, Stig's frustration with the situation reaches a boiling point. In an attempt to regain control and put an end to the toxic relationship, Stig issues a stern threat to report their inappropriate involvement to the authorities. Unfazed, Viola counters with confidence, insisting that no one would believe Stig's side of the story. The tension escalates further on the final day of school instruction when Stig is informed by the school principal that he will be forced to repeat a grade. The weight of this academic setback compounds the challenges Stig faces due to the unraveling affair. Determined to rectify the situation, Stig heads to Viola's classroom with the intention of retrieving his gradebook, only to discover a distressing sight. All the pages pertinent to his academic record have been maliciously ripped out. The realization dawns on Stig that Viola is actively attempting to erase any trace of his attendance and performance at the school. Feeling the walls closing in on him, Stig turns to Kjell, hoping for support and assistance in navigating the labyrinth of consequences resulting from the tumultuous affair. Unfortunately, Kjell remains passive and ineffectual, leaving Stig grappling with the severity of the predicament. Trapped in a complex web of repercussions, Stig faces an uncertain future as the repercussions of his actions and the affair begin to unfold. Following the tumultuous events, Stig's school principal visits him to inquire about the death of his brother. In the midst of this conversation, chaos ensues as a plane, part of the school's celebration for its last day of instruction, unexpectedly dumps fuel on the school grounds. The unfortunate incident resulted in pandemonium, with one student accidentally causing a fire, leading to injuries among many. Deeply affected by the recent tragedies in his life, including the loss of his brother, Stig finds solace in the theater. There, he watches the same reel depicting the submarine that claimed his brother's life. Lost in his grief, Stig remains immersed in the painful memories. Recognizing his distress, the owner of the theater intervenes and takes Stig out, concerned for his well-being. Stig, overwhelmed by the consecutive challenges in his life, faces a difficult journey of healing and recovery. Following the heartbreaking events, Stig attends the funeral of his brother and fellow countrymen alongside his parents. The weight of the loss and grief hangs heavy during the somber ceremony. On the train ride back home, Stig's mother, unaware of her son's affair with Viola, expresses regret for not having written notes to the school to excuse Stig's poor grades and attendance record. She attributes his struggles to working late nights at the cinema and the emotional strain of Stig's military service. However, as she starts to suspect there might be more to Stig's academic difficulties, Stig intervenes, preventing her from delving deeper into the complex situation. He assures his mother that he will share the whole story with her someday when he feels ready, hinting at a promise to open up about the challenging experiences he has been through. After a couple of days, the moment to distribute result cards to students arrives, marked by a ceremony attended by parents and their children. Viola, during the event, is in charge of handing out school reports to the students. In a shocking turn of events, Stig abruptly barges into the ceremony. Walking directly up to Viola, he publicly denounces her by exposing himself and refuses to take his report card. Viola, deeply ashamed by Stig's audacious act, maintains her composure in front of the large crowd, choosing not to react to the provocative behavior. The film concludes with Stig leaving the school premises, carrying a suitcase filled with the dictionaries he had taken from Viola's desk as a form of retaliation.